Greetings. Sangam literature is the main source to know about the history of ancient Tamilagam. The foreign people came and gave their foreign accounts, and we compared with the Sangam literature, and archaeological evidences prove the Sangam literatures are true. There are three legendary gatherings shaped the Tamil literary tradition. First of all, Sangam is the association of poets. There are three Sangams were held in ancient Tamilagam. First Sangam at Tenmadurai, and second Sangam at Kabadapuram, and third Sangam at present Madurai. On the whole, the three Sangams, there are 2381 poems were written, and the greater texts 18 was to be done, including 8 anthologies and 10 idlis, and 250 years that Sangam was run up by the various poets. Almost 473 poets wrote different type of poems in the ancient period. The kings were the patrons of the poets. There are many kings included in that Sangam. As specimen persons were Karikala Chola, Cheran Chengutuvan, and Pandian Nedunchelian. The foreign people, Megasthenes and Ptolemy, Periplus and Strabo, even Patuta, came to the Tamil kingdoms and documented about the Sangam, and these accounts were compared with the Sangam literature too. The main themes of Sangam literature: love, war, justice, economy, that are all comes under the theme of Puram and Aham. Archaeology also proved the Sangam literature is to be the true one with the Keeladi excavation and Velvikudi copper plates, Uttarameru copper plates, the Talayanangalathu Chervendra Pandian copper plates, and Kanyakumari copper plates. Along with that, Ashokan rock edicts and palm leaf manuscripts also prove that Sangam literatures ought to be a trustful one. And among all that, the crown was Tirukural. It was accepted as a Sangam oral heritage of humanity by UNESCO. So why we are praising the Sangam literature? It is timeless stories, all that love, justice, war, everything comes to know in the Sangam literature, and it's proved by the stone, that is archaeological evidences, and it also gave the contemporary wisdom itself, and it was written back two or 2000 years, but still it gave a valuable life morals nowadays also. Now we come to know about the literature of Sangam age. Sangam literature categorized Tolkapiyam, எட்டுத்தொகை and பத்து பாட்டு, பதினெண் கீழ்கணக்கு. These are all the Sangam literature. Tolkapiyam. Tolkapiyam is the grammatical work written by Tolkapiyar. The three books were there: Elutadikaram, Solladikaram, and Purladikaram. Purladikaram was the orthography and phonology, Cholladikaram with morphology and the forms of words with syntax, and Purladikaram contains Aham and Puram Prasodi, poetics and social conventions. Among that Purladikaram give a valuable historical evidences, and each Adhikaram contains 9 years in 1276 sutras, and it belonged to 1st and 2nd century BC. Next, எட்டுத்தொகை, நற்றிணை, குறுந்தொகை, ஐங்குறுநூறு, பதிற்றுப்பத்து, பரிபாடல், கலித்தொகை, அகநானூறு, and புறநானூறு. These were the eight anthologies written in Sangam period. Natrinai. Natrinai contains 400 poems and written by 175 poets. Love manifestation in 5 Thinais was a major theme of that. According to the geographical condition, the Sangam age land divisions were categorized as five under Kurunji, Mullai, Marudam, Neidal, Palai. So these are the five Thinais five Thinais social life and economic life mentioned in different literatures. Next is Kuruntogai. Kuruntogai, this is a collection of shorter poems. The lines between 4 to 8 and 402 stanzas are there. It was compiled by Puriko. This is also the work of love in five Thinais. And next is Ainkurunuru, that is 500 short poems, 3 to 6 lines there, and each Thinai contains 100 verses. It was compiled by Kudalur Kilar, the person belonging to the Chera community, and the five Thinais compiled by different authors Kurunji Kabilar, Mullai Peyan, and Marutham Orambohi, Neidal Amuvan, and Palai Odal Andai. So about this work about God, marriages, worship, planting, nadukal, sangu, silambu, megalai, that ornaments that are all to be mentioned. Next is Paditru. This is anthology of poems contain 10 groups, and each 10 composed by a single poet and praise of Chera monarch. Then Paripadal, 70 verses written, and Vishnu was the major theme of Vishnu the god was major theme of this poem, and how the Sanskrit words, the Puranic stories were included in this Paripadal. Among all the literatures, the Sanskrit words and Puranic stories included more in this literature. Next is Kalitogai, author Nallan Tuvanar. The theme also to be love with 150 stanzas. Then Ahananuru, it is also known as Neduntogai, and 400 verses with love in 5 regions. And then Purananuru, it also contains 400 stanzas, the political history, kings and wars mentioned in this Purananuru. 56 poets wrote it, and the social, religious life, everything was to be mentioned in that. So, except Paditripattu and Paripadal opens with an invocatory song by Perundevanar. Next, the Pattupaattu, 10 Idols. This is a collection of 10 long poems. It's ranging from 103 to 782 lines. The first four were mentioned as Aatrupadai Noolgal. The poet, what is Aatrupadai? The poet who received gifts and direct the fellow poets to go to the same patron. So, geographical nation, it explains the geographical nation of the Sangam age. The 10 idols books were Tirumurugaatrupadai, Porunaraatrupadai, Sirubaanaatrupadai, Perumpaanaatrupadai, Mullaipaattu, Madurai Kanji, Nedunalvadai, Kurunjipaattu, Pattinapalai, Malaipadukadam. So these are the 10 works. Tirumurugaatrupadai, composed by Nakirar, it gave the details about 6 abodes of Lord Muruga, and Purunaraatrupadai, composed by Mudattama Kanniyar with 248 lessons, and Sirubaanaatrupadai about the 7 vallals, Pari, Ori, Begam, etc., and the author Nallur Nattattanar, and Perumpaanaatrupadai. Perumpaanaatrupadai, it was written by Kadiyalur Urutharan Kannanar. Kadiyalur Urutharan Kannanar. Then the social life of Mullai, Marudam, and Palai was narrated. Malai Padukadam, also known as Kuttaraatrupadai, the author Perunkausikkanar, and Mullai Paattu, that contains 103 lines. Nappudanar, it was given a life of Yadavas, and Kurunji Paattu, written by Kabilar, And Patinapalai, that also love poem description of Port Kaveri Pumpattinam. Kadiyalur Viruthankananar was compiled it. And Nedunal Vadai, written by Nakirar, 181 lines there. And Madurai Kanji, it composed by Mangudi Mardanar with 782 lines. It gave an account of Pandya kingdom. So apart from that, post-Sangam works known as Padinin Kilkanaku, the 18 works with the three divisions, Maral, Aham and Puram themes. So Asiriyappa is the major thing in this Padinan Kilkanaku. It is very small in size. The 18 works are there: Naladiyar, Nanmani Kadigai, Inna Narpadu, Iniyavai Narpadu, Tirikadugam, Asarakovai, Palamoli, Sirupanjamulam, Eladi, Mudumoli Kanji, Muppal, that is Tirukural, and Aindinai Aimbadu, Tinai Malai Aimbadu, Aindinai Elubadu, Tinai Malai Nutraimbadu, Kainilai, Karnarpadu, Kalavali Narpadu. So these works resembling the life and culture of the Sangam society. Thank you. Sangam art and architecture. Sangam period was 300 BCE to 600 CE, reveals the mirror of Tamil society and ancient art and architecture. It has a very lengthiest history to know about the Tamil culture carved in stone. From thatched houses to the royal palaces, they were constructed with the different styles, and most probably they gave importance for the sacred space for the community worship. Temples were the main places. They were known as Madakovil, Kodiyil, and the specimen we saw at Puhar. And their living heritage was so simple, they lived in a simple life. What were the architectural features of them? They constructed palaces, houses and temples with all facilities. They were to be continued. And the Jains used caves for living in their life. They were known as Pallis. The Jain Pallis were the main important construction during this period, and the temples at Madurai, Puhar attracted the foreign travelers also. It was constructed pure Dravidian style, wood, mud and clay used in Sangam period. Temples decorated with paintings and sculptures. Painting art in Sangam period, Oviya Kalai, it was an important one. It was known as, the painting was known as Oviya Kalai, and painter was known as painter, and painting also called as Ovium. The great fascination in painting and different types of paintings with the flowers and animals was to be used by them. Rulers, courtesans and wealthy people decorated their palaces and houses with different type of paintings. Next, sculpture, mud, wood paste, pottery made by this time, and the sculpture were known as Sirpam, and the sculptors were known as Sirpasarigal. The chariots were decorated with sculptures. Next is dance. Dance was a famous one in this period, the famous dancer Madhavi, and dance was called as Kuttan, Atam, Purunam, and the female dancers were known as Kati. And also it is known as Sandi Kuttu, Arya Kuttu was so familiar dances in this time. The dancers appears with attractive dress from the age of 5 as they learned the dance. The stages used to be the curtains started with the invocation of God. All the dance forms were started. Next is drama. It played on stage. The music was given. The religious dramas placed an important place. Tolkappiyam, the grammatical work of the period, mentioned about the form of dances. known as Kumari Kuthu. That is, both of them hugged each other. That is known as Kumari Kuthu. Tungai, the men and women both jointly danced. And Kodukko Koti, that is the dance of sacrifices. And they were most probably, they praised Thirumal in the dance forms, and the people were very much interested to do the dance programs during the time of festivals. The next is music, the art of aristocrats held in the palace. The noble and wealthiest people also enjoyed the music, the chamber music, vocal and instrumental music. Music is called Isai or Sura. The seven suras were used by them, and musical artists were also to be lived. And the literature also mentioned about the musical swaras. The instruments, different type of instruments were used in music. Yal, the four kinds of yal, Parayal, Makarayal, Sukatayal and Sengottiyal, Adiyal. It was preserved in leather sheets called Panjachai, and veena, flute, drum, tadari, kulal were used by them, and it was made by bamboo or bronze. The poet Adiyarku Nallar gave the list of 30 musical instruments, and Panars, they were the wandering poets were lived in this time, and the foreign country people very much influenced by the musical forms of Tamil Nadu. Thank you. First Pandyan Empire literature. The First Pandyan Empire witnessed a great cultural influence and influence of Bhakti movement during that time. It was started here by Manika Vasakar, and the First Pandyan Empire reflects the rich cultural and intellectual traditions of early Tamil civilization. So we know a lot of things from the Tamil literary works, especially the historical setting. We know that from the first Pandyan Empire. The first Pandyan Empire marked political stability and cultural growth, and socio-cultural factors shaped the designing of the literature. So many literary works were written on that time, focusing on heroism, ethics and devotion. And anthologies of love, war, moral philosophy we saw in the Sangam literature turned towards now, reflecting the broad literary diversity and fostered by the royal patronage. And it had a strong influence on later Tamil literature, and emphasize made ethical values, heroism, and devotion continued in further years. So, what are the major themes? The religious and mythological were the major themes reflected in the deep religious sentiments in this time. So, in this time, the Alvas and Nayanmars, both of them, raised to keep up their Bhakti movement and spread the gospel of their Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Vaishnavism through their literary works. Among that, the special person Manika Vasakar wrote Manika Vasakar wrote Tiruvasagam, and a famous Tamil proverb says, இவ்வாசகத்திற்கு உரியார் திருவாசகத்திற்கு உருகாதோர் எவ்வாசகத்திற்கும் உருவாதோர். The heart melting songs were the specimen of Tiruvasagam. And the next is the Thiruvilayadal Puranam and Pandikovai, also written during this time. And the Alvas also contributed their religious literatures, especially Namalvar wrote Thiruvaimoli, Thiruvirtham, Thiruvasiriyam, and Periya Thiruvandadi. And these are all comes in the composition of Nalayira Divya Prabandham. Then Periyalvar, also known as Vishnu Chitan, he also wrote 500 hymns in Nalayira Divya Prabandham during the period of Srimara Srivallabha court. And Andal, daughter of Periyalvar, devotee of Vishnu, also wrote Nachiyar Tirumoli and Tirupavai. These were the major specimens written during the period of First Pandyan Empire, and it got the royal patronage and composed their works celebrating their reigns and virtues too. So the royal achievements documented, historical events were written and highlight the relationship between the ruler and the poets. The saints were also to be denoted. So these were the classical examples to know about the First Pandyan Empire, and its works continued the artistic excellence and cultural significance in the South Indian history.